Well, thank you for choosing America's Morning Headquarters to get you through the mid-morning hours.
Yeah, the Weather Channel is helping you plan for the big events ahead. We've got lots to talk about, of course, with the smoke conditions in not just New York, but in many areas of the Northeast.
It was unbelievable as you watch the landscape here. This is how the skies changed throughout the day on Wednesday, yesterday, a time lapse looking at lower Manhattan, and it was so eerie. I was talking to a friend up there, and she said, well, it's not as bad as it was. And I'm, looking at the view behind her, I'm like, your sky looks yellow. It was just so bad, so thick.
So my daughter's in New York City right now, and she was telling me the changes that you were talking about.
Yeah.
It did turn sort of this orangey, weird Mars-like color. It didn't last all day, but off and on.
Yeah, for a time it certainly was, and it's causing lots of issues, grounding flights, canceling games. Playgrounds empty of kids. The kids are still in school up here, so a lot of field trips canceled, just so many impacts.
Indeed.
Yeah, well, we'll talk more about that. We've got the thick smoke from Canada wildfires causing, he's reporting for us this morning from Weehawken, New Jersey. And on a given day, you would normally see the skyline of New York City behind him, Justin. But what has the visibility and the smoke in the air been like this morning?
Well, right now, the air quality index is 1.
Yeah, good update. Thank you for that, Justin. Stay safe out there. Part of the reason that the smoke is so thick and long lasting is because the fires in Canada have consumed more than 7 million acres of land.
Yeah, and on top of a stuck weather pattern, a blocked up one, we are dealing with an ongoing shift in conditions that appear to be playing a role in the intensity overall of these fires in southern Canada. Meteorologist Jacqueline Woodall with the Weather Network in Canada joins us now. And Jacqueline, thank you so much for joining us. We want to talk about the fires first. And when they first started last month in the western provinces, what indication did you have there in Canada that this would be a historic start to the wildfire season? Greg and I, we were just talking about how we don't see this in major metro areas. Even when we had some of the big wildfires in the West, it was usually more mountain communities that were dealing with scenes like this. But it's rare to get this kind of smoke in a major city. Yeah, and our previous guest, Jacqueline Woodall from the Weather Network, was saying the same thing in Canada. Their perspective is like, we've never seen this before. What is going on? And so, unfortunately, we're dealing with some of the consequences. But there's good news on the way. There's a pattern shift coming that should clear us out pretty good. There is, and a shift in the pattern could help families in the Northeast smothered by wildfire smoke and the satellite. You can see it on the visible satellite, and we can see it now shifting further south through southeastern Pennsylvania, Maryland, Northern Virginia, including around D.C. Yeah, now we're starting to see a lot of pictures coming in out of social media of the air quality and the sky conditions around D.C., as you mentioned, in some other areas in the Middle Atlantic. It again, part of it is moving to other populated areas. So what was New York, kind of a hotbed yesterday, it's now shifting a bit farther south. And so we can track it. The wind direction plays a big role. Huge role. And I want to talk about that because it's going to play a big role in moving it out, too. Yes. Which we think will happen as we get through the weekend. Things are going to finally change with the weather pattern. For now, though, we're still stuck in the same situation that we were yesterday with an area of high pressure. Out to that forecast here, and again starting in Seaside Park in New Jersey, where we have been dealing with the smoke. You can see the really bad visibility out here at the beach, and we are going to be concerned, of course, for the air quality across this area. Now, let's also look at another concern here. I don't think a lot of beaches will be filled with people today, but we do have some areas of current risk to warn you about here in the northeastern coast here, especially there in parts of northern Jersey. Looking at your forecast today, it is going to be cloudy. It is going to be murky, really, with that smoke still a factor in the sky. 73 degrees in New York City. And it's possible there's a few showers here. It might not be the most likely scenario, but there is that chance. Let's go up the coast here with that forecast, and we take you into Long Beach, 67. This upper level low that we have over the area has really kept temperatures down as well. We're going to be looking at Chatham, Massachusetts, only in the mid 60s here, where we're looking at maybe the sun peeking out a little bit. But overall, there's a lot of clouds, and of course the smoke is a big part of the sky cover as well. Jumping over to Lake Michigan, we have a moderate risk of rip currents here along a lot of the shores of Lake Michigan. There's a few spots actually a high risk. Today we do have sunshine, although I do think it's possible smoke could be a problem here as well. Sleeping Bear Dunes, 71 degrees here for your high temperature today. Time now to talk about this morning and more. Thank you for choosing America's Morning Headquarters to get you through the mid-morning hours. Yeah, the Weather Channel is helping you plan for the big events ahead. And the big event, I think, is, tracking the smoke, which, look at yesterday in New York City. You couldn't see anything. It's so unreal. When you see how it changes, too. I mean, every single image in itself is concerning, but then you see just how bad it gets and the sky takes on an eerie glow. And those colors are real. They're not manufactured. I know my daughter's in New York City right now is telling me how orange and weird and otherworldly the sky looked. It was crazy.
Yeah. No, it really doesn't. You know, this is, of course, a very visual part of it, but people across New York State dealt with it yesterday. Air so thick they just could not breathe outside. Air that smelled like a campfire. If you went outside, it got in your clothes, it got in your hair, and you could still smell it when you went inside. It
was amazing. It was almost like masks were really essential to being able to move around in the outdoors.
And there's been a lot of challenges. There were flight delays. There was games that were canceled at Major League Baseball games here, but a lot of kids' activities, too, rightfully so, had to be canceled. And that's a story that we'll continue to follow today because now that thickest plume of smoke is kind of moving a little bit.
Yeah, and if it's, getting involved in the economy in other ways as well. The flights being canceled, the airports shutting down temporarily. We'll be watching that.
Well, the thick smoke from Canada wildfires is causing